Hello, everyone. He's Mel Cherrygate with the podcast Whoever You Are. And I have such a special guest today. It's special for me because she was one of the first sober coaches and with Instagram profile that I started to follow when I first got, no, when I got sober, because when I first got sober, I relapsed. And and she's here. She agreed, and I can't even believe she's here. But it's so great to have her. Her name is Jen Hirst, and she's gonna tell us a little bit about her story, and we're gonna have a conversation as we usually do. So, hi, Jen. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so touched that Instagram connected us. I love social for that reason, is the ability to connect with people you would have no probably chance of ever meeting,
Yeah.
but can be grateful for because of this shared thing that we have is it connected us, and that's really really amazing, and especially someone across the country.
Yeah.
Super cool. So thank you for having me be here.
You're welcome. I'm more than happy. I also think that once I learned that I was not much of like a social media thing for me, I didn't like it much. But once I learned and I changed my perspective that it can be like a tool to help people and help me and connect and make a community, especially when we are like in recovery, which is something that is hard to do. It's not easy, you know.
For sure.
And so it's amazing to be able to connect. And you were telling me about your story, which is a lot of things happened to you, and you totally rebuilt yourself. And I think that's so awesome. And so, if you can share a little bit about your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Like she said, I'm Jen Hirst. I'm a sober coach. I'm a mom of two. My kids are upstairs doing a remodel right now. I'm 13 years alcohol free, and I'm really on this mission to really change the way we think about alcohol. For too long, we've kind of been looking at it as a reward and stress reliever. And I teach women that none of that is true because, of course, it happened to me. I'm the coach and founder of Lighthouse Sobriety. And I just help women build lives you don't want to escape and that you're excited to wake up to. But I mean, 20 years ago, that wasn't the case for me. But I really like to start my story off with saying that no one is off limits when it comes to alcohol, that it really can happen to anybody. And for so many years, I hid out of fear of being rejected. And I think many of us might relate to that of what are people going to think? What are they going to think of me if I can't control my drinking? And we go through this by ourselves. And I went through this whole experience by myself alone because it's a scary place when we start thinking about, and start saying things like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And the thought of AA, especially when I was struggling 17 years ago, 15 years ago. And the one thing we learn about sobriety is that you can't and you shouldn't do this alone. But I cared so much about what other people were thinking that I didn't reach out for that help. And if I could maintain this image that I had everything together, then I would be liked and I wouldn't tarnish this image that I had built up as someone who came from a great home. I loved art, and I lived in a perfectionist family where outside appearances were really important. And my parents' motto was to look good on the outside to impress other people. Who cares really about what's going on inside? We didn't really share about that. And which is why I didn't really share about my sobriety until 4 years into it. I lived in the sober closet for about 4 years. And that's why I didn't really seek out help. But my first drink started at 15. I think with a lot of women that I coach, that's kind of the time where you're entering into high school, you're kind of experimenting, you're seeing who your friends are. And I wasn't addicted right from the start. It was quote unquote normal drinking, just raided my parents' cabinet. My parents rarely drank. I did have a grandfather that was an alcoholic, but I never have seen my parents drunk. They've had maybe a beer, so it wasn't that sort of influence for me, but it wasn't really until my second boyfriend wanted to go on a break. And like I said, I was doing quote unquote normal drinking throughout high
Mm-hmm.
school and college,
Yeah.
never really intentionally abusing it or drinking by myself at that point. But over the course of when I first started to abuse it to the moment and year that I got sober, it was about a 10-year progression. And I think for many people, it isn't something that quickly develops. It's something
No,
that
yeah, for
develops
me, it
over
was over
time.
time also.
Yeah, until you realize you cannot stop, but you're already in it, and that's such the danger zone. But it wasn't until my second boyfriend wanted to go on a break, and at that point, I had already had my first love, had a heartbreak, and I just immediately went to, oh my gosh, I do not want to go through this again. I don't want to feel this again. And so I was living with some guys at the time. I was a junior in college, and they were abusing Adderall. And if you know what Adderall is, it's a stimulant.
Yeah,
For people who
it's
don't have,
close to cocaine, right? Yeah,
yeah, it makes you feel amazing,
yeah.
basically. And so they're like, here, take this. You're going to feel amazing. You're not even going to think about him. And I questioned it and I looked at it. I'm like, you know what? I don't do drugs. But then, quote unquote, alcohol is a drug. Didn't even know that until 2018 when I
Yeah.
read This Naked Mind. Highly recommend that book.
I
But
read it. That's how I started my journey. I love her.
perfect book to start off with. If you need a book to start off with, This Naked Mind is fantastic by Annie
Fantastic.
Grace. But at that point, I just said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to do this. I took Adderall. I felt amazing. I stayed up all night. I dyed my hair. I said, this is the best breakup I've ever had. And then the withdrawals came and all of those feelings came back. But I'm mentioning this because it was only through a usage history that I did an inpatient treatment that I was able to pinpoint the exact moment that I started to abuse alcohol. And it was in that moment that I said, oh my gosh, I can do the same thing with Adderall that with alcohol. Like, I don't have to ever feel any hard feeling again. I can just start to drink. Yeah, as someone who's an introvert, later did I know as an introvert, I used it for social anxiety. I used it before dates. I used it anytime I felt sad, anytime I didn't want it, even happy. And the more I used it, the more I became dependent on it. And I can't say, like, again, that I was addicted right from the start, but it really was this year leading up to my wedding. So my drinking really started with heartbreak. But then, as we realize, if you read This Naked Mind too, drinking alcohol increases anxiety. I started to get some anxiety, but it was in this year leading up to my wedding as a classic workaholic. I was an Enneagram 3. I'm an achiever. I got great grades. But in this year, I was working full time. I was doing freelance full time. I was a graphic designer and I designed magazines. So I had about 5 magazines that I was designing at this all the same time. And then I was trying to plan my wedding by myself. And the workload, the stress was overwhelming. And I ran to alcohol more and more as my fiance would go out and hang out with friends. I would stay home, I would work, and then I'd just drink while I worked, just to have fun while I was working, to kind of squash any of the feelings that I wasn't going out because I needed to raise money for this wedding and get everything done. And so it really was in that year where I also set goals for myself. And I don't know if anybody can relate to that because I didn't really know what was going on, but I would start to set goals where I'd be like, okay, if you can go 5 days without drinking, you're not an alcoholic. And because the label alcoholic scared the crap out of me because my image is this person with a brown paper bag under a bridge. And I
On the
didn't,
street,
yeah, but I didn't fit that image. I still had my job. I still had this.
Yeah.
And so what am I if I'm not that? But I couldn't do it. So then I'm like, okay, if you can go 3 days, then you're not. And I would go 1 or 2 days and then I drink again. 1 or 2 days and then I drink again. And so seeing pictures of my wedding day is humbling because it was a great day, but it was also one of the hardest days for me because I was also dabbling into Adderall to take my hangovers away from all the alcohol that I was drinking. And then I was drinking to calm all of the nerves and anxiety that I had of number one, having the attention on me, the introvert self of myself, and just to get through the day. And so it really was a day or two after the wedding where I literally collapsed. I was so exhausted from drinking, from working, that I started drinking around the clock. I didn't care who saw me. And little did my husband know of what I had been doing because I was really good at hiding it.
Yeah,
I
me
would
too.
hide it. Yeah, I would hide it in different bottles, then I'd hide it in the closet, and then I'd hide it in there. And so he had no idea because he would go to bed and I'd stay up and continue to drink.
I
And
do the
so,
same.
right. And so it was, really was a couple days after I stopped hiding it. And he was like, oh my gosh, what did I marry? Like, what is going on? And so began this 1.5 year journey of me figuring out what was going on and actively trying to get sober. And I should mention in 2005, I did get a DWI. My dad's a lawyer, so he was my lawyer throughout it. So you would think that was a big red flag, but that was just kind of like a wake up call. I still had a good 8 years after that of drinking. But in this 1.5 years, it got progressively worse. When I did go to my first AA meeting, I was still drunk. My husband took me. He like made me go. I went to my first outpatient. I did good for a little bit and then went back. I had no intention of really staying sober, but I was getting my feet wet with it.
Yeah.
I was also eventually went into inpatient rehab, but in this period, like I had mentioned to you before this call, I also dabbled into other forms of alcohol. And so I would go to Target because I heard that mouthwash has the same amount of alcohol as vodka. And so I felt less shame because I started rotating my liquor stores because they would
Oh my
recognize
God,
me. And
I did the same. It's crazy.
eh, well, and I put glasses on my eyes to hide the bags. I put a hat
Yeah,
on
yeah,
because it
yeah.
was so incredibly shameful. Maybe that they wouldn't know. And of course they knew. And so I heard that. And so I tried it. I'm like, oh my God, this works. And so I started drinking mouthwash. And that was actually my drink of choice for the last year of my
Yeah,
drinking.
because people, when they hear that, oh my God. But people don't understand that when we get to this point, it's because our body needs the substance. And people think that wine is different than any alcohol, but it's the same alcohol you use to clean your house. It's just the amount that's different. It's the same substance. And so you have a mouthwash and you need it in your body. And I really know the feeling of needing in your body the alcohol. It doesn't matter
What it
what.
is.
Yeah.
You will do anything because when my husband would figure out I do that, then I try something else. It's like anything that I get my hands on, he would take my credit cards away, he would take my
Yeah.
keys
I
away.
understood
So
that.
like basically just like shutting me. And I understand that he didn't know what to do. He was scared, but I was like I needed to get any sort of fix that I could because the cravings and the withdrawals are so intense and they're so uncomfortable that you will do anything to take that away. I remember within 30 days after we got married and I wanted to change my name and all of the things that you have to go to, but how much I was drinking after our wedding. And I remember trying and waiting till the last day to get my license picture and fill out my license because I had been drinking so much and I didn't want this picture. I mean, now I don't care what I look like in a driver's license picture, but then I cared because I was going to the bars and you showed it all around. Actually, I should create a post about that. It's so funny. But then I waited till the last day and I was filling out the application and I could not read my writing because my hands were shaking so bad. And so I asked them to get an extension. They're like, sure, come back tomorrow. I took it home. I started drinking. The shakes went away. So I filled out the application drunk. And then I went in to the next day still drunk, got my picture, got my license. And that's the picture I lived with for the next, what was it, like 5 to 10 years. But that's just how intense the withdrawals were. I didn't have hallucinations, thank goodness, or any DTs, but I did have severe shakiness and night sweats and all of those things that are super uncomfortable. But in this 1.5 years, like I said, it progressively got worse. My husband started setting boundaries. He would leave me if he caught me drinking. I wasn't able to take care of my dogs at the time. I eventually went into my first inpatient at Hazelden, which is the main Hazelden Betty Ford here. in Minnesota. And I thought it was amazing. I loved rehab. However, I still wasn't done. I
Yeah,
just
yeah, I
thought I
know.
had one more drink in me. And so I felt amazing. And when I got out the next day, I started drinking vodka. And it progressively just got
Yeah, then
so
you
much
you
worse.
yeah, I resonate with that because when I got out of rehab, I also relaxed right away because I went to rehab in Brazil and I live here. So uh, I relapsed already on the airplane, and it was my daughter's birthday the day that I arrived, and like the whole family was here. And I showed up. I was not drunk because when you are drinking so much, you kind of can like pretend you're okay. So I was not drunk, but my husband saw that I was different,
Hmm.
and he said you drank, and then he
Yeah.
found it, the bottle on my bag. I just arrived from rehab, and then it got so much worse,
Hmm.
and like hell, like
Yeah.
hell. And
Yeah.
then
And you just even like make me remember when your partner finds it and you're like, oh my God. And it's just like, okay, the gig's up. Now we have to like, he's going to get mad at me.
yeah,
Now we have to do this, all of this stuff. Because of course we spent our so many years lying about all this stuff. So yes, progressively got worse. And then within the next month, I went back to rehab for their extended care stay, which is 60 days. Did great. However, I knew I just wasn't done. And the thing that was really holding me back from completely getting sober is that in this period of time, even though I didn't have a problem with it, it helped me to feel good and get things done and also take any hangovers away was I dabbled still into Adderall.
okay.
And
I use cocaine, which is
ah, because it you can get so much done as
yeah,
someone
and
who
you
loves
can
to cross
drink
things
more.
off. Yeah, and you can drink more too. And so I wasn't honest with him about that. And keeping that secret was just tearing me apart. And so even getting out of their extended care stay, I went into a sober house for a couple months, which I did not like, continued to drink there, and progressively got my second DWI February 14th of 2013, where eventually I had to like blow into a monitor, just all of this stuff. And it was in these periods where then I was kicked out of my house and I started living with my parents, who then I had to go to my dad's office for him to keep tabs on me. And I would just try to sneak and buy mouthwash wherever I could. And so it was chaotic, it was unmanageable, and I progressively felt myself shutting down. I was 31 and I felt myself dying inside. I remember being on my childhood bed and my hands were going numb. And it could have been anxiety, but at that point, my heart was racing out of my chest. I'm like, oh my God, like I think I'm having a heart attack. And I was mixing Adderall with alcohol every day, and I was drinking. I mean, who knows how much I was drinking, but I started Googling cardiac arrest and it said, drink some milk. I didn't want to freak out my parents. I'm like, I think I might be dying at that point. And so, of course, that really scared me, but it was really April 23rd, 2013. I had gone with my dad. This was the last day drinking. I didn't know it was my last day drinking. It just so happened because I think we all want this perfect day. Mine didn't turn out like that. And so I had blacked out in the morning. I started throwing up in his office trash can. And he took me in the middle of the day to detox. And this was for the second time. And it was in there that I blew a 0.34, which scared the crap out of me because it was actually not even detox. He took me to the ER and then took me to detox. But it was in that moment where I actually asked for help for the first time. And I woke up from the blackout and my mom was there by my side. I just said, help me, in which I never asked for help. I didn't ask for help with my wedding. I didn't ask for help with anything else. I didn't want to burden people, but I was just like, just help me.
You can do it by yourself anymore. Yeah,
No. And
yeah,
so the 0.34 really scared me because I had been drinking like that for the past 2 years. How many other times did I come close to not waking up? Because that was just another day drinking for me. And I was drinking like that almost every day. My drinks were not fun. It was meant to black out. If I
yeah.
did not black out, it was not enough.
Yeah,
And so,
I was sometimes drinking and crying
yeah, yeah. And it's a depressant, right?
because we
It,
know is the situation that we are, and you can't. It's like you're drowning and you can't catch a breath because you drink and then you have to drink more and you can't be without it and actually it's dangerous to stop drinking when we are drinking at that level to
oh
drink
yeah.
stop by yourself. It's dangerous because of the
And
withdrawal.
it's, yeah, and it's one of the only drugs you can die coming off of. And that's why if you're drinking severely, I mean, everyone is different, everyone's body is different. But to get a medical detox is super important and just to be super careful. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And that's something I go over in my program is possible withdrawals that you might experience. And here's who you can call and what to do. Um, Now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
So we were no so yes, so I was in detox and it was there that I kind of had an out of body experience, and I just looked down on my life, and I had court the next day for my DWI. I had lost my job in February for not showing up. I had lost my car for my DWI. My husband and I were not talking. My parents didn't know what to do with me. They said you cannot come home because I was drinking, and so I was literally homeless. And I remember in detox calling homeless shelters once I was released of places that I could stay. And when your parents give up, it's just like I had lost so much. And I thought, okay, I haven't lost that. And then I lost that. And then I haven't lost that yet. And then I lost that. And so I just made that decision right then and there. And I'm like, you know what? I am so freaking done. I am so done with this thing. I wasn't trying to stay sober. I did not want to drink anymore, period. I was so sick of it. And so it was that moment forward that I made the decision that a click happened within my mind, which is people ask me all the time, what did it take for you? And I always say it was so many things. There's so many of losing things, of people setting boundaries. It was to get me to this point to wake up and be like, I cannot moderate and I do not want to moderate. I don't even want to look at alcohol anymore. But I couldn't expect people to trust me at that point because I had been lying for 20 years. And so from that moment forward, I didn't know how I was going to clean up all of the mess that I created. But I just said, as long as I don't drink, I cannot make this any worse. And so I gave up the outcome and I kept just doing the next right thing. I had to go to court. I had to do house arrest. I went into another inpatient because I knew they were going to order that anyways. So I went to a different inpatient in Wayzata, Minnesota, which I loved. And before I went in, my husband actually let me stay at our place for a day. And before I went in, and this was so important, was that I came clean to him about what I was doing with Adderall. And I said, I cannot get sober unless you know this about me.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to create and wreck our entire place and be like, I cannot believe you lied to me, which is totally not my husband. But all he said was, okay, are you done? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, we're good. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this prevented me from getting sober for so many months, should I say. And so from that moment forward, we took a drive. We weren't really talking much. And through this neighborhood, and I saw what our life could be like. We were living in a townhome at that point, but I really wanted so bad to have kids, but we couldn't bring kids into this world because I could not take care of myself because of my drinking. And I saw these two kids and I saw this house and I saw these nice houses and these fences. I'm like, oh my God, like this could be our lives. Like this is possible. And it's so crazy because that's the life I live today. Is I didn't expect myself living in the country, but now we do. I have two kids. I've repaired our marriage, right? Are stronger than ever. But again, I had a lot of stuff to clean up. When I got sober, I'm not going to say life was perfect, but my gosh, it was so much easier to not have to worry or retrace your steps or
Yeah,
be on
the
an apology
hiding
tour anymore.
and lying
Yeah,
and
the
manipulating.
hiding, the lying, all the mental gymnastics that we go. So, like I said, I did court dates, I did house arrest, I did a day in jail. I had to pay my lawyer off thousands of dollars. I got a simple job just at a printing shop where I rode my bike to because I didn't have a car. I did AA meetings. I got a sponsor. I did outpatient. I got a parole officer. I then realized within 4 months that we were pregnant. And it was just something that I was so freaking grateful for, because how could my body be able to do this with all of the crap and poison that I put in it, that it was able to produce a life? And so that was like the coolest gift to ever come. Now, he came 6 weeks early. So he came actually before my sobriety date, but he's upstairs right now, 12 years old. And it was just this amazing gift that happened that kept me so excited about what's to come. Now, of course, I'm getting teary-eyed because my 2 kids wouldn't be here if I didn't choose this choice. And so again, I also got a breathalyzer in my car for 2 years because I made DWIs, but all of this stuff. But it's so crazy what can happen when you stop consuming this one thing. So within 4 months, we were pregnant. Within 4 months, I got a job back in my field in graphic design. Within 7 months, I was promoted. And then right before my year anniversary, my son was born. And then when he was 6 months, we got our first house. And kind of the rest is history for that. Of course, I can get into how I got into sober coaching, but all I was doing, I was walking the talk. I wasn't expecting anybody to believe me. That trust I needed to regain months and months into my sobriety, but it paid off, and I was able to build it based on the actions that I was taking. I was doing what I was told, and it felt so good to not lie anymore. And
But you have to be choosing the right thing, right?
oh gosh, and not
For
have to
the
just like be in
first time.
panic of, oh my God, is he going to find out? Can he smell it on my teeth? Or my nostrils flaring, which is
Oh
my
my God,
cue. His
yes.
cue that I was drinking.
Yeah, and
And
you
so,
you want to pretend you're okay by drinking more. Like if I drink more, then I'll be more normal, and that's how I thought. Like if I drink just one more sip, I'll be more present. I'll be less nervous or less anxious, and it's crazy because it's the opposite.
right? And think that we need to drink to be liked, to be more fun, instead of asking, am I having fun? Do I
Do I
feel
even
like I
want to
need,
be here, right?
yeah, do I feel like I need a drink to tolerate these people or to make this more fun? And if I feel like I do, then it's just not fun and those aren't my people. Like, I think we're trying to push ourselves into liking things that we don't want to like, and we do that by
Definitely.
drinking. And
Uh,
so, one thing that's helped me so much in my sobriety is just, again, really figuring out what gives me energy, what depletes my energy, and also telling myself, especially as an introvert, with anything that I get feel nervous about, I'm not going to die. Like doing this podcast or any nerves or giving a speech or my kids, say this to them before their first day of school. Hey, you're not going to die. It's okay to feel nervous. It's okay to feel uncomfortable.
yeah,
You're not going to die from those feelings, but you can based on the action that you take on that feeling. And
yeah,
so if I can just like, hey, I'm feeling nervous, but that's okay. I'm not going to die. And then I just go do it. I'm like, okay, because when you feel, and I think you said you experience anxiety too, is that when you feel anxious, you feel like you're dying. It's like an alarm in your body and in your brain. And that just like quickly, just like, hey, is this actually going to kill me? No. Okay, so like take your foot off the gas. This isn't going to kill you. Just do it. Who cares? And
yeah,
then you're like, okay. And then you start to build confidence. Okay, I can do that thing. I went through that thing. It did not kill me. That
yeah,
means I can do something else. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
And this is one of the things that when I started the podcast, which actually was like 3 months ago, not even that. And now I'm talking to people every day, and I'm like almost overwhelmed. I have to reschedule everything because it became so big, which I love it. But I was thinking, like, how was the first step that I took to get to the podcast and the interviews? And people are asking me, how did you get so fast? How did you grow so fast? And I said, I just took the first step. I was in my bed feeling disconnected, And I started to look for profiles of sobriety and reaching out, and that's it. And that's how it happened. Just reaching out. And I do think that connection is the solution for your addiction. Because when you're an addict and you are really, really bad on addiction, you feel you lose all of the connections with yourself first and with everybody, because everything that you're living while you're drinking or using drugs, it's basically a lie. It's not real. I mean, it's happening, but you're not experiencing that. I remember I hated to go to the beach because I wanted to drink. And then I couldn't. I have to wait until I got home. And I love going to the beach now. So, and another thing that you said that resonates with me is that I thought I was this super extroverted person, party girl, the life of the party, and I'm not. Drink to be that. And
Yeah.
then now I'm like, I'm not. And that's okay.
It's okay to be an introvert. And I
Yeah,
think,
it's
yeah,
okay to just want to do your thing, or of course, this also comes with age, but like to, I had to, when I got out of rehab and I had the click that now I'm really done. I had to protect myself because I was so afraid to relapse that I would do just, one thing, like you said, one good decision after another, but little ones. I
hmm,
remember staying like 1 month watching MasterChef, and you know,
nice.
because you would take me away of that it's a happy place. It's MasterChef. It's food. It's people achieving things, and
Hmm.
so it made me feel good. And so I think anything that you can do to protect your sobriety, especially early sobriety, it's worth it, you know. And then little by little, I start to go to the gym, and then doing that, and then I came back to Portugal to my daughter because I already had my daughter when I got really bad. She's 11. She was about 6, and my husband was so awesome and he took care
Mm,
of her, but it still weighs on you as a mother,
hmm,
you know,
hmm.
to have to leave your child to go to rehab. But now I'm here with her, and I get to help her and be in her life. And like you said, if you haven't stopped, you wouldn't have your kid, you know,
Isn't
right?
that crazy? It's like if I didn't get sober, and for you too, is where would my life be like in 5 years? And what
Probably
are the
dead
things?
or something.
Yeah. And if you think about 5 years out in sobriety, it's like, what's possible for my life? And it's kind of like this sliding doors moment is, okay, which way am I going to choose? Which way do I want to take? Because either way, and I like to say this too to the women, is that either way, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to
Got it.
continue drinking. Drinking is freaking hard. It's easy at first, but it's hard. Then it gets hard. Now, sobriety is hard in the beginning, but then it gets easier and easier as you grow your sober muscles and you start getting more confident in this decision. You start doing things without alcohol, and you're like, oh my God,
It's
okay,
much
I
better.
went to a concert. I can go to a concert and not drink. Isn't that crazy? And then you're
Yes.
like, okay, great. But it both ways are hard. So do you want the one that's easy for 15 minutes and then hard for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Or do you want the one that's hard in the beginning, but gets easier and easier the more that you do it? And
Yes.
so I just hope that people get there if they want to, and if they're struggling with drinking, is that it's going to feel uncomfortable for sure, but what you're going to like learn about yourself and how your life is going to change. I mean, you couldn't even ever imagine. I wouldn't be 13 years sober if this sucked. I would go back, right? I know where my drinking leads me because I have a lot of field research. I've tried a lot of times, and I know where that takes me. And I can't have just one, and I don't want to. I'm super
Yeah.
proud of it because
Yeah.
of what I've gained from this sobriety. I've gained my children, my marriage, my job.
Yeah,
And
it's
now I work for
crazy.
myself and my company, and everything was based on this decision to get
Yeah.
sober. It's
Yeah,
so freaking cool.
like in 2 months, I did more for my life than the last 5 years drinking. It's crazy, like 2, 3 months, you know, and
How much?
because then you do it every day, and then you have the energy, and now, and I used to stay in bed drinking, and then I would try to do something. This like in the end that it got really bad, and then now I wake up and I'm like, go! I want to do more. I want to grow more. I want to talk with more people, and it's crazy that my reality is this right now. As when I think like 1 year ago that I wasn't like I almost gave up at one time. I remember telling my husband, just give up on me because he found some wine hiding, of course, and then he started to be mad at me,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him just give up on me because I did already.
Mm.
And then I always tell this almost in every episode when I'm talking about my life, that this woman on the supermarket that I bought the alcohol, she came to me, she held my hand, this in Mozambique, and she said to me, I'm praying for you. And, and then that day I decided to go to rehab, and somehow I entered the airplane because my rehab is in Brazil. Um, and I got to a plane drinking, of course, but I went. I knew I had to go, and then I went straight to rehab. And then after that time, I decided I'm done. And I got out of rehab, and my therapist was against it. She thought I should stay more. But I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. It's not about the rehab, it's not about anything, it's about I can't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom trusts me uh, that I was being honest because I was being honest in the first time for the last 6 years. I was really being honest, and she believed in me, and then here I am.
Honesty is so, so important. I
Yeah,
mean, you cannot, and I shouldn't say you can't, but it's really freaking hard if you're not honest with people. And people are a lot more supportive and accepting than you think. Even if initially they might be a little mad, it's so freeing. It's like a huge weight lifted
yeah,
off your shoulders and off your chest is when you get honest, because it's those secrets. And you could, I mean, this is just a cliche, but it's like those secrets keep you sick. The secrets and the lies keep you sick. And so once you can just kind of get it out, oh God, it's so,
yeah.
so refreshing to do that.
Yeah,
And
it's a crazy feeling, and but I do feel sometimes that when I was really bad, people would reach out more, and I mean people that are in my circle, not people on the internet. And now that I'm sober and I'm doing the Instagram and the interviews, a lot of people stop following me
mm,
because I think people sometimes feel uncomfortable with maybe resonate something like they're drinking too much and they don't want to hear about it. Because I remember when I was drinking, I would, I didn't want to hear about like sober people talking about how good it was because I couldn't get there. So I do believe that sometimes the people that I wanted to reach the most are the people that are not, uh, I mean, on Instagram or internet looking for help. Sometimes you are so into it and so bad that you don't reach out. You know, for me, it took my family and my best friend to put me in rehab
mm,
because otherwise, I don't know.
yeah. And
Yeah,
sometimes, I mean, and also too, is that you all have to want it for yourself too. You can't force someone
no,
to want this for themselves. They can help us get there, but it's your decision. It's the work. You have to do the work. It's your life. And you hope that people get there, but you can't force someone to do that unless they want to. Because I really wanted to be sober. I just wasn't ready yet. And you have to have those two things. You have to want to get sober, and you have to be ready for it.
Yeah. And whatever you really want, you find your way through it. And people ask me, but how? Like, how did you do it? And for me, it's like exactly what you said. It's like just making right decision and being honest, especially with yourself, right? Because I
For
think
sure.
we lie to ourselves so much.
Yeah. And we're our own worst critic too. So if, say for instance, if you're listening to this and you know someone who's struggling with their drinking, is that one of the best things that you can do is, like, I think both of us have shared that people just got mad at us and they were super upset with us. And I understand that. And it's not something that gets a lot of support and a lot of love. But if there's anything I can offer is that the people who are choosing to drink are not doing it because we want to. We're doing it because we don't feel good about ourselves, to that extent of my drinking. And so if we can love and support someone through this and not enable them, but to detach with love, is one of the most important things. I think that is one of the best way to support someone who is struggling, is to detach with love, but to encourage and to motivate and to love that person through this, and to not, get mad at them or put them down for this. But I know it's common reaction when you find that out. But
Yeah, it's complicated.
yeah,
Yeah, but all you can do for the person, and I think it was what my family did for me. Like they offered me help, and but I really felt that it was like the last straw, like the last time, because everybody was like done, you
yeah,
know.
same here, same
Oh,
here.
so
Similar stories. But look
yeah,
at us now, right?
yeah.
And
Look
if
at
there's
that.
anything, I
I'm
mean,
talking to you, like I'm already on the top.
well, and I do like to say is that if it can happen to us, if we can do this, is that you can do this too. This is one of the hardest thing that I've ever had to go through. But it's also prepared me for every single hard thing to come after that, because anything that comes after that, I'm like, okay, well, I got sober and that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, so I can do that.
Yeah,
Childbirth, all
yeah.
right, hopefully I get an epidural, but
Yeah. Yesterday I was talking to a guy. He's not an alcoholic, but he's had this amazing view on things, and I did an interview with him, and he said that one of his best employees are not ex-addicts, but are addicts that are in recovery, because people wear a lot of masks, and when you go to recovery, you have to take it off your mask, and not many people get to do that, and we have to, because we have to get vulnerable to to get help, and he said this is a superpower after in life, and I do think it is.
for sure. And I mean, I totally agree with that, because now you're getting employees who are more productive, they're more energized, you can count on them to show up, they're going to be more motivated, right? And because if you go into the science, if you read this Naked Mind, is that even one drink is going to throw off your quality of sleep. And if
Yeah,
you have bad sleep, you're not going to feel the greatest the next morning, which means you're not going to work as hard, because you're not feeling and living up to your potential. Because when you drink, you're only tapping into about 60 to 70% of your potential.
yeah,
But when you're sober, you can actually access 100% of your potential and what you want to go after. And so do you want to continue to live in the 60 to 70%? Or do you want to tap into all of it and get to use all of it and now be like, okay, now what do I want to do with my life? Like, now I have the opportunity to see who I am and what I want to create.
yeah,
And that is freaking
exactly.
amazing.
It's amazing. Jen, it was so good to talk to you. I won't keep you here because we could talk the whole day. We've been talking about the book, and I'm gonna link it so people can go for it because it really helped me also, The Naked Life. And it was so awesome to talk to you. I'm so grateful you agree.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, you're welcome. Then I'm gonna post it, I think soon because I'm so excited. And then I tag you and let you know, and it's gonna be awesome to read more.
Perfect. Awesome.
Okay, so have
Super
a
excited.
nice day.
All right, you too, hon. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much for
so
having me
much.
on. All right,
Bye
talk to you.
bye.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye.